Hi, I'm Kristin Omdahl, and welcome back to another full chapter reading of my novel, The Sea Glass Journal. Today I'll be reading chapter 6. If you are just getting started, please follow the link in the video description below to get started at chapter 1, and you can catch up at any time. Every week I release a new video of a full chapter reading. Let's get started. Chapter 6. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The quiet met me immediately. No clinking glass, no music humming under the conversation, no instructions tossed across a room pretending to be seamless. Just the low hum of the refrigerator and the faint buzz of the street light outside the window. Bjorn lifted his head from the foot of the bed and stretched, tail rising like a small flag before he padded toward me. "Hey," I said, dropping my bag at the door. I slid down the wall before I could talk myself out of it, sitting on the floor with my back against the paint-chipped drywall. Bjorn climbed into my lap without hesitation and settled there, warm and steady. His purr vibrated against my ribs, low, mechanical, reliable. I let my eyes drift to the fridge. 2 photos were taped to the corner. Miles and me in front of a sandcastle, both of us squinting into the sun, wind whipping our hair sideways. Miles and me at a sushi restaurant, dressed up for no real reason. In that one, he was mid-toast, glass raised, grin crooked, to my badass mom, who built an empire out of yarn, words, and pure hustle. He'd said it like it was obvious, like it was permanent. I held that image for a beat longer than usual. Bjorn shifted in my lap. I looked away first. Holly was in Nashville for the week. No events, no prep lists, no last-minute calls asking me to make something out of nothing. An empty stretch of days I hadn't planned for. I could spend them refreshing job boards, updating a resume that still felt like it belonged to someone else, and I could find out what Evelyn Moore had meant to leave me. I stood slowly, moving to the kitchenette to boil water for tea, one of the only rituals that still felt like mine. As the kettle hummed, I pulled open the drawer where I kept a few relics of my former life. A ball of dusty blue yarn sat there, soft and untouched. I reached for my phone on the counter. The missed call from Avery and Klein sat at the top of my screen. I didn't need to listen to the voicemail again. I would call in the morning. I called first thing. By 9, I had an appointment scheduled in Cypress Key for Tuesday afternoon, which was perfect. Holly left for Nashville that same day. I made a travel cup of jasmine green tea for the drive and placed it in the cup holder. I turned on the radio, plugged the law firm's address into my GPS, and pulled out of the driveway. The oldies station crackled to life. The first song stopped me mid-breath, our wedding song, his choice. I let a few bars play, then reached for the dial. Not today. Another familiar chorus rose up, something about holding on. I skipped that one too. The highway stretched ahead of me, long and indifferent. The exits thinned out, the air shifted, less exhaust, more salt. Palmettos edged the road. Hand-painted signs promised boiled peanuts and smoked mullet. I made the right choice when I left my marriage. I didn't question that. The business is different. That one I still turn over in my mind. Not the dream itself, the decisions inside it, the pace, the people I trusted, the moments I stayed quiet when I should have spoken. Experience teaches, eventually. The road not taken doesn't disappear, it just runs parallel. I turned the music down and let the tires hum, carry me the rest of the way. I turned off the highway and inched farther east until I saw the sign welcoming me to Cypress Key. It read, "Welcome to Cypress Key. Let the tide bring you home." Established 1892. The sign was weathered but charming at the edge of the town road. The scent of brackish air drifted in through the window I'd cracked open. Spanish moss draped over trees like lace. Palm fronds rattled in the breeze. It was different. The law office was located in a converted cottage near the center of town, nestled between a small diner and a hardware shop. Its shutters were a soft, sea-washed green. A brass plaque gleamed quietly in the sun. Avery and Klein, attorneys at law. The scent of bacon and fresh coffee drifted from the diner's open door. I parked in the gravel lot and turned off the ignition. My hand hovered over the key for a moment before I pulled it free. I took a step toward the law office, then froze. A turtle was crossing the road, slow, deliberate, determined. Cars had stopped on either side, engines idling patiently, drivers unbothered, no honking, no rush, just waiting. I walked a few paces closer and crouched slightly, keeping my voice soft. "You're doing great," I whispered. "Almost there." The turtle made it safely to the other side and disappeared into a hedge of hibiscus as traffic gently resumed, the moment passing like a sigh. As I turned back toward the building, I noticed a small hummingbird feeder hanging from the porch awning. A single ruby-throated hummingbird hovered there, its wings ablur, its body suspended in perfect stillness. It lingered long enough for me to catch the shimmer of emerald feathers before it darted away. A town that made space for turtles, a porch that welcomed hummingbirds. Something about it all felt like a message I wasn't quite ready to translate. Not yet. I exhaled, placed my hand on the brass handle, and stepped inside. Thank you for joining me for another chapter reading of my novel, The Sea Glass Journal. I hope you enjoyed it. Please join me next Sunday for another full chapter reading. And if you would like to read ahead in the meantime, you can find links in the video description for the paperback and ebook to read the whole story at once. I'll see you next time.